Everyone. So it's a warm evening greetings to all from Seva Foundation as well as ACS Consulting Services. Myself Surajit Kalita, and I'm also heading and one of the core member of Seva Foundation. Our main agenda of today's meeting was the primary and overall discussion about the new educational policy. So national education policy, I think it will be a historic decision Indian government has taken, which will create a major impact in our society as well as country-wise education system, which was not been reformed since our independence. So it was a pre-structured, uh, we can say, era which we were following, due to which we need a major changes out here. So in today's event, whom we have invited, especially this meeting is an in-house meeting. Why? Because with this agenda, we would like to send us a memorandum to the government of education department of government, so that we can also contribute our point of, we can keep forward our point of view. So as a panelist, we are having Dr. Supratik Gupta, who is a professor at IIT Delhi. Dr. Gupta is a already graduate from IIT Madras and mastered and PhD from Japan. He worked with as an assistant professor at Gonam University, Curiosity, Japan, and he was there in Japan for more than 12 years. And he have his written book, that is You Must Be Kidding, and he have many publications as well. Today, I think whatever the topic and the prescribed subject he have chosen, that is he is going to refer from the book itself. We have Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukan with us, who is now, I can say, national speaker, who have a very vital knowledge as well as intervention in many sector. Today, he have chosen this topic because he is also doing his R&D in this sector, who have a vast experience, more than 20 plus experience in supply chain management and operation management with leading companies in India. And he have worked with national and international platforms, and presently he is consultant to many of the recognized organizations. We have with us Mr. Sandeep Sharma, professor at Oro University, and he is also a founder of EduNestro, and he have more than 27 years of experience in education sector. He have worked as a joint CEO, Scope Society of Creation of Opportunity through Proficiency in English and OSD, Commissioner at Higher Education, Education Department of Gujarat. And as far as I know, he have initiated many things, actually new innovation into this education sector. And we have our president of Seva Foundation, Mr. Rahul Mishra, who is a leading consultant to Japan Foundation, as well as closely he is working with the Southeast Asian countries. And me, myself as a moderator, I am basically from Guwahati and working for Seva Foundation. So without doing much more delay, I would like to request Supratik Gupta sir to start with his explanation and sharing session, so that he can highlighted his opinion towards our national education policy. Over to you, Supratik sir.
Sir, please unmute.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
So now you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. You are audible and visible.
Okay. Let me reintroduce myself. Born in Guwahati. I did my schooling in Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit Deoghar, 2 years Calcutta, 4 years IIT Madras, 12 years in Japan. My son was born in Japan, and he was from age 1, at the 12 months, he joined a special school called Hoikuen, which you will hear in this presentation. After coming back to India, he wanted to be a sportsman, and I could see that in a city like Delhi, there are thousands and thousands of students who actually wants to be a sportsman, and they don't have much time for studies. And this education of ours, this education system is very, very cruel on them. And that is why I realized that our country will never create good sportsmen, because we force them into an education system, and we create a fear psychosis where we tell them that without education they cannot do anything. If you see most of the sportsmen and film personalities, they actually never go through the education system and they become more successful. So problems in education and the new education policies. That's my topic. These are the two books that I have published. The first book is a detailed book. You Must Be Kidding, Dr. Subrati Gupta, and You Must Be Kidding, The Path Ahead. It's a very synopsis of the first book. I am saying to myself that you must be kidding, because here in this book, I have talk of drastic changes that I think can change the world. I am telling that, do you think the world will take you seriously? But yes, I really believe that world will take me seriously with time. It will take time. This is the preface of my book from in the back. We want a better world for our children in pursuit of happiness and success. So this also gives a brief about my book. It covers exercise, old age, birth, education system, and various aspects of our life. Without wasting my time, I'll come back to the education. The first basic assumption is that to be an expert, you require 10 to 15 years of effort to succeed in life. So basically, suppose I am an engineer today. My education has taken its roots even from my childhood, because in the childhood, I learned maths and science. So basically, I could succeed early because my education is fruitful. But just imagine I want to be a director of a film. The first time I can start any education formally is in post-graduation level. Whereas an actual successful director is starting his education from his childhood. So it is impossible for me to compete with him. So a normal person can never ever compete with people who start off their career in childhood. This is a fallacy that I realized, and looking into it, if you look, Michael Phelps, all these people had started their success stories quite early in this thing. So the problems in education, from childhood, science is glorified. Science provides least amount of percentage of job. Entertainment industry and agriculture provides maximum job. Initial education rarely provides any information about this. Our education rarely teaches us how to think. In MBA, if MBA provides so much value addition, why can't we teach these things even in our school level? Why is political history so important? Why can't we separate education system for sports and entertainment children? These are the questions that brought up to my mind. So I proposed a system. Why can't we have, in place of one system, why can't we have a two system where you have normal education and an entertainment stream education for sports, music, and dance? Because there is so much science in sports, music, and science that I don't think our children should be wasting our time learning the physics, chemistry, maths that we are studying. There is enough physics in the movement of the balls. There is enough physics in the dynamics of the bat. There is enough physics in every aspect of the sports, music, and dance. There is history in all these subjects. So this stream can be independent, and based on my assumption that you require 15 years of education, and for a sports personality, in fact, the puberty, post-puberty is the most important time. So my son started his sports training at the age of even 6, 7. So if you start at 6, 7, 15 years is around 20, you can become successful. If you start at 20, you cannot be successful. If you have a parallel education, then there will be possibilities of becoming a sports journalist. There will be possibility of becoming a sports coach. Various other possibilities can come up even if you don't become successful in sports. I'll now introduce a concept which is called Hoikuen in Japan. You can see my son in the first picture in the end of the row. He is sitting there. In almost all the pictures he is there. This is at the age of 1. You must be thinking, what are the children doing at age 1? Trust me, this is the age at which our neurons are developing infinitely. In fact, at age birth or even in the stomach, the rate of development of neuron is the most important. And at this stage, if the mother is working, we leave them with ayahs or creches in India, where they are getting the brain or the input from the brain, which has no almost education, just because they have time, they are the cheap labor, they are taking care of our children. Look at Japan. These teachers are the most well-educated people. They are taking care of the children. You can see these children, 1-year-old children playing in water. Why? Because water sports is one of the most important sports for a human being, because we are born inside water. You can see that the 1-year-old children are taken to the road in the left-hand side bottom corner. You can see the children are taken down into the road and making them learn the rules and regulations of the society. They are taught how to sleep. They are taught how to eat. They are taught how to do all the activities of this thing. In addition, they also learn a lot of gardening, where they see how life form comes into being. So these are the few extracts that I have taken from the book. I will not go through them. So you can see that how their normal daily life is, their physical and mental development, water activities. I have given emphasis on water activities. Now I'm explaining the system of education. Preschool, that is a child care 0 to 3 years. Then the primary school 3 to 6 years. Then there is I call middle school from class 1 to 8. And then I call secondary school 9 to 10. And finally, the high school, that is 11 and 12. And then we have the college education. In our country, basically we choose our stream at class 11 and class 12. If we take a wrong decision, there is no time to change, because we are under a roller coaster. These 2 years is a very, very compressed period. In Japan, this 3 years is taken from class 10. I proposed a system in which I suggested that we must have a system where here it says the present class 10, 12 provides too high pressure for the students, making it 4 years from class 9, 10, 11, from class 9 to class 12 will make the matter more relaxed. In fact, they can take a break. So I'll come back to my original presentation again. So I had given Government of India, when they proposed this draft, I had sent my input in 2 forms. First is importance of early child care and education, starting from conception to birth, birth to 3 years, 3 to 6 years. You must be wondering, what is the conception to birth? I'll talk about it a little later. Please understand, the story of Abhimanyu is not to be undermined. It is, in fact, in the stomach that you can learn a lot of things if we know that this is important. So the draft NEP, the ECC, the National Early Child Care Education Policy of 2013, speaks about the education with the start learning from birth. India is a signatory to the various international conventions, rights of child, CRC, education of all, and various other these things. So the ECC clearly mentions conception to birth, birth to 3 years, 3 to 6 years. Our draft policy mentions ECCE, this section 3.2. But even this national policy, even though it mentions ECCE completely, but even now it doesn't understand the point conception to birth. It has barely included birth to 3 years, and it has done drastic changes which are always welcome, which I will explain are welcome changes. I have written to the Government of India that this document also recognizes the effort of Anganwadi under the Integrated Child Development Service, which can be expanded more to cater to the more population in an integrated way. It will take our childcare system to a new dimension. If further training and implementing strategy are implemented, our concern is to make the new policy covering first category of the ECC, conception to birth and birth to years, which are to be incorporated into the NEP in a proper framework. It is a great opportunity as well as challenge to make this happen through all our effort. Second is need for a flexible education. I have just explained to you that India has a 10+2 education system. So in this draft, I also propose in place of 10+2, please start the last phase from class 9, which they have implemented, and I'm very happy to say that. I had emphasized that extracurricular activities is very, very important. Here I have mentioned in my letter to Government of India, I don't know whether they understood it, that in human body, there are 2 times of life where there is a burst of activities in our body. First is our birth, and second is puberty. It is very important that in these 2 times, you give maximum physical activities to the child. It is very lucky that the girls have the puberty at little earlier age of 11 to 13, whereas boys' puberty happens between 13 to 17. And it is very unfortunate that boys' puberty also coincides with the high level of pressure of education, where almost all the children actually give up sports and other activities and try to concentrate on studies only. This is one of the, I had pointed out, this is one of the worst things that happens to the human body. And that is why the physical development of the men, I think, is not doing well, because during our puberty, we should allow our children to play more rather than concentrating only in studies. Coming from with that, I had proposed a common compulsory education up to class 8, and all the division of the education must happen after class 8. So I said a flexibility to shift and postpone studies. Children should be allowed to shift from one line of the career to another. It is difficult and not impossible. Children should be expected to travel, experience homestay across India, which we have already been talking, and see life. So if someone wishes to take a year break after class 8, anytime in between or during the college days, this should be allowed. This will help the children to think and decide their life. If they lose interest, this break will either help them in changing their life or bring them back to the present education with a renewed interest. This is what I wrote, and I am really happy to say that this gap year has also been mentioned in the new education policy. The new education policy has, I had also given this input. In this paper, 3 important modifications were proposed. Implementation of entertainment stream, sports, music, and dance. Obviously, this has not been accepted. Making common education up to class 8. I'll show you how it has been implemented. And flexibility to shift and postpone study in travel. I've told you that this is how they have also mentioned about the gap year and flexibility in the new education policy. So I've also said that children pursuing education, music, dance, and this thing will get more time to train and get monitored care in the best possible ways. The benefits, let us keep. Let us come to the present education policy. The content of ECC. ECC is a part of the women and child development. The primary education system was not part of the formal education system earlier. It is appreciable that NEP 2020 has incorporated this under its ambit. In section 1.2 of the policy, ECCE is said to be ideally consisting of flexible, multifaceted, multi-level, play-based activity, and all these things it has included. I had added a suggestion that please incorporate the word gardening and sports, water sports into it, because they are the most 2 important thing in life. If the child can smell, touch, and the development of the 5 senses rarely happens in our education policy. Based on, if we implement this in the childhood, the development of 5 senses will become a very important step of our life. Coming to conception to birth, section 1.3 of NEP, there is a provision of developing excellent curricular and pedagogical framework for the early childhood education for children up to age 8. It will be developed by NCERT in 2 parts, namely 0 to 3 and subsequently 3 to 8. However, the part conception to birth mentioned in ECC policy in section 3.2 have possibly been ignored or not well understood. This is the part where the married couple is going to be a parent for the first time, need to be trained about pregnancy, nutrition requirement, and the learning ability of the child inside the womb, post-birth knowledge requirement. A big part of this activity, if carried out, is carried out by the Anganwadi workers in the villages, and we in the cities are very, very unfortunate that we don't get the service of Anganwadi. Anganwadi people, I have been to the villages, are doing excellent work in every level of child development. We in the cities think that we know everything and we don't require assistance. I really wish that Anganwadi becomes a universal phenomenon, not just in the cities, villages, but also in the cities. The reason why Anganwadi is not accepted in the cities because Anganwadi started by the malnutrition. The malnutrition people is obviously not applicable to the city people. But then, starting from malnutrition, it has digressed to various other activities of enrichment of the woman before birth and post-birth. Those two things are equally applicable to rest of the country. And I'm sure Anganwadi can do a great job by helping us. This present NEP, the National Education Policy, has entrusted the job of 0 to 5 years to Anganwadi. But it has not mentioned that Anganwadi does not exist in the city. As per data, 7% of the Anganwadi contribution is the city, 93% of the Anganwadi exist in the rural areas. And possibly this 7% also exist in the poor, underprivileged people's facility only. Because, as I explained to you, it is more geared towards taking care of malnutrition of the poor woman. So we must understand that that part we can remove from the Anganwadi and bring the other good part to the city and implement it for us. Now let us look at the education policy. It has given us 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Often in the beginning, people thought that last 4 is the 4 years of college. No, that last 4 years is 9 to 12. Please remember what I said in the beginning. I really welcome this change of 9 to 12 because it's a great relief of the student. If it is in the 4 years, I can change my line. I can take a gap year. I can do anything. But 2 years, I will not even get time to breathe. And in 4 years, a person can actually become a specialist in his field, which is not possible in class 2. So even at class 9, if I get the opportunity to become a study sports or study music or study how to become a movie director, any other profession, it would be a welcome change if our education policy provides us for such facilities. On the other hand, the first 5 years is 3 to class 2. It again does not integrate 0 to 3, which it mentions in the first few pages of the education policy. So there is a contradiction in the new education policy. The first 3 years are not added, though in the first few pages, it very, very strongly talks of 0 to 3 years also. So I wrote to the government, please don't ignore it. Please add the first 3 and even the -1, which includes education to the, I would say that in Japan, when a couple gets pregnant for the first time, the hospital provides a compulsory education of almost 12 classes, which is very, very important for the development of the nation. Most of us think that a young couple will know what to do, but most of the time, they even don't know how to feed the child. Most of the time, we are told, please feed when the child is crying. No, in Japan, they taught us that feed the child every 3 hours because they feel hungry after 3 years. As we grow, that becomes 5 to 6 hours. So there are a lot of signs on the early child about the child development, and the children are the most important assets of our country. So we need to give maximum energy, maximum effort for the development of the richest asset. And if we don't give importance to our asset, I don't think our country can ever become a developed country. Importance of Anganwadi, I think I have already spoken about it. Let me skip this portion. While talking previous things, I'd already spoken, and here also I have taken that Anganwadi can play a very, very important role in the urban areas. It's all about that infrastructure. The government mentions that infrastructure of Anganwadi will be taken care by the central government or the government, whichever government, and the teachers also will be trained to class 10 level and class 12 level with some voluntary teaching. I wish government all the luck, but I would prefer to see a day when the children at 0 to 3 is taken care by people who have college level education or even the highest level of education. It also talks of the Gurukul culture. Our new education policy uses the word Gurukul culture. I am really happy if they understand that. The concept of Gurukul culture, as mentioned in the new NEP, is good. Gurukul, based on ancient Vedic culture, should be integrated with the modern education system of ECC. The focus will be upon keeping the children connected to the root of nature, promoting healthy mind in a healthy body, learning to induct respect for elders and teachers. In the Gurukul system, a child should be required to assist Gurukul mother, participate in all household activity, including cleaning, gardening, and cooking. Please understand, Gurukul culture is one of the greatest culture, and it still exists in Japan. In Japan, there, all the teachers always clean including the teachers and the students, they clean their own place by themselves. So in our country, where I don't see even young people, they don't like to clean their own dishes. Forget doing any other work. They don't even like to broom their own house also. And trust me, as a professor, I sweep my floor of my whole house every day. We can draw parallel from Japan, which has been developed a fantastic system where children participate in mopping the floor, washing dishes, gardening, walking on roads, for learning traffic rules, and so on. These practices are implemented in Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit Residential School that I studied. It has been observed that though girls get good exposure to such work, boys in India are specifically left out of this activity. This creates a great mental barrier in boys against cooking, cleaning, and other home activities. I strongly suggest the government of India understand the Gurukul culture, appreciate it, and implement it in whole spirit and this thing. I sometimes feel this education policy is a great policy, but even this government does not understand the significance of the words that has been used in the new education policy. Sports, music, and dance. I think I have already talked a lot about it. No, I would like to emphasize it. Bhajan is the best form of breathing exercise. Kirtan is a way to dance. It is the best way of physical exercise. When done as a mass event, music, dance improve the possibility of socialization. Most of the religion have integrated mass music and dance as an integrated part of the culture. In section 4.4, it has been mentioned that special courses are to be taught on the alternate days to allow exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility with more frequent formative assessment for the learning. State may look into the innovative methods to achieve these aims of greater flexibility and exposure. It may include enjoyment of wide range of subjects across the art, science, humanities, language, sports, and vocational training. My suggestion to the government is that sports, art, dance, culture should be made compulsory in the primary and middle classes in a holistic way, balanced growth for all children. Children should be made aware of warm-up and cool-down while doing sports. Development of strength, stamina, and endurance is important. In addition to that, I am looking for an opportunity to convey to our government that Swachh Bharat Abhijan was a very, very good program by our government of India. I think the next important movement that should come to India is Swasth Bharat Abhijan. What does Swasth Bharat Abhijan means? It means health is most important. If you look at the army, huge amount of Jawans are there who retire early in their life. All of them know about the physical exercise more than anybody else in our country. I request our government that please give them a little extra education on health and make it compulsory for every school, every club, every situation to hire these people. It will give a great opportunity of re-employment of our Jawans. and our country will become Swasth Bharat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supratik sir. It's really good that the points which you have emphasized during your presentation, because few of them are really clearly, as you have informed, that it is already available in NEP. And apart from that, based on your past experience, whichever point has been you have is really applicable. And few of them, I think you have earlier also discussed, it really good that if our government can emphasize and include the same in our new through our in the coming years. So really looking forward, because there is hope that we are also keeping finger crossed that we will be sending a memorandum come in our willingness or information we can hopefully something can
Suraj,
contribute
your voice is not clear.
towards the society. Is it audible now?
No.
It's audible, right?
You just turn off your video.
Can you hear me?
There is a network issue, I think. Yes. Please continue.
Is it audible?
Your voice is breaking.
I think we should start our next presentation because his
Yeah,
voice
hello.
is very.
Yes, yes. Yes, we would to invite Dr. Fukan to present his presentation.
Please unmute yourself, Professor Fukan.
Okay. Actually, I don't have the presentation. I have already sent to Surajit, Mr. Surajit. So, if you can show them from there, I can just speak out from this side, and I will also switch off my video to just save the that bandwidth. So, will it be possible, no? PPT, can you? Good evening, everyone. Education policy 2020. I am more to also happy that we are doing now. Just after this, am I audible?
You are not audible.
Not audible.
Fukan sir, please continue.
Now, after this COVID situation, everything is very crystal clear that if you are not advancing in our technologies, not only for the industries but also for the education system, then I hearing everything and this but this has happened because of this contactless servitization or contactless operations all industries and sectors have moved into a separate paradigm which is totally based on technologies. So it means if the education systems and the students or talent pool coming out of the system are not skilled or not trained to that level of the industry's perspective, then I think there will be huge gap between industry and academia, because industries are moving fast towards industry 4.0, education system is moving fast towards education 4.0, everything is now moving in the series of 4.0. So why don't we are moving in the education system 4.0, and that's the reason I think the NEP 2020 is the right thing which government has finally taken care of and put this draft bill into the parliament for getting this bill passed. Means this is now already in the bill form, but if you see the timeline is quite long. It is being said that it will be implemented in this country fully by 2040. What are the things which are being included in the NEP is already being described by Dr. Supratim. So the things are same, but my emphasis in this particular presentation is how this is going to impact the technical educations. I am very happy that government has finally decided through this NEP that a class 6 student should know coding. It means how important is mathematics is now being emphasized. So in developed countries, they have a system called STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. So now this has been part of the STEM for the students from this class 6 or 5 or 6 onwards. So because as I am also part of many organizations, as Mr. Surajit told, I have already done 2 webinars on mathsophobia, or how to make math as a language which is very easy, not to be fear about. So because mathematics is the thing which is to be required in each and every stream of education, not only for science, it is also required in humanities, it will be required in arts and everything, because it is not only science, it is a language. So this language is very much important, because now we have seen for the customers, for the industries, for the education, all perception has changed because of these contactless, keeping social distancing, all these things. Now what is the thing that has bridged the gap? And that gap is bridged only by the technology. So it means every student should be developed and nurtured in such a way that they understand this language that is called mathematics in their curriculum, and based on that they can derive what they want to do, what they want to be in the future. Like bachelor vocational education, master vocational education is now mandatory. It is very good thing government has planned is NEP. But one thing I would like to say, the concern also, just making one education policy, like there are many other policies earlier also, if our citizens, if our people who are not responsible, are not feeling responsible or take onus of it, it will be really difficult to change this country's system only by passing a bill. Because we have seen this country has so many good laws, good things are in place, but it never happens in a full form. It is only as and when required. So my main concern in this particular NEP is we should not just do. Yes. Again, because we know what is the situation of the infrastructure at the rural levels. So if our NEP is thinking for the artificial intelligence and development in the areas as already been spoken out in NEP, our research in the university and colleges should be directly related to the industry's perspective. Our younger students should be taught in the matter so that they can think more logically, more cognitively, more critically, more analytically. These things is very good on the papers, but to implement it, we should have that type of faculties, that level of teachers, that level of guardians, parents. It is the moral. It is not a single way. It is the responsibility of all the stakeholders: parents, teachers, education institutions, students. So have to be in place in a very perfect way. Otherwise, I don't know whether this NEP will be what it is being seen will be fruitful in the long run, or it will be getting implemented in such a way maybe it can get distorted. Because one more thing I would like to say, like when I was just engaged with some of the incubation centers, we tried to plan 1 or 2 incubation centers through AI enabled, totally AI enabled. Now to go for this AI enabled part, we faculties and the institutions also left apart. If you leave the incubators or students, if you are going for the faculties also, there is a huge gap in the understanding in education. Because I also know, I am also an engineer, what syllabus we have studied, it is a 20 years, 15 years old syllabus, old things. When we come out in the real market, we are really confused. It is only up to our personal, individual acumen, a particular person gets successful, a person doesn't get successful. Like if you see the movie Three Idiots, why these things have happened, which Dr. Supratim has very rightly said. We are forced to think in a particular way up to a particular limit. After that, we say, now you think yourself what do you want to be. But how can I be what you want to be in 2 years or in 1 year? Because my basics from the nursery to class 10 is totally in such a way where I am totally confused, because I know I have to get the marks. How to get the marks I know, because get marks. I don't I get, but what is the relevance of all the subjects? Why I studied, we don't know. At 11, 12, we come to know, but its time is very short. So whether I can be an engineer or doctor, or I can be a lawyer, or I can be any I can go to art stream and become a civil servant and something. So at that level, it is a huge stress on the students. But okay, NEP has taken care of this, but how much we are prepared for this, so that it should not again come back to the original position. It should not be elastic. So that's my main concern, that before putting all such bills and good things at the center, at the whole level for the country, but we should understand what is the level of education of our faculties, level of their understanding, level of their knowledge, and level of the infrastructure, the education institutions. During COVID situation, we have seen many remote areas, students could not study because we don't have that basic infrastructure of what you can say, that internet connectivity. So how can you say that we have the opportunities for the urbans and no opportunities for the rural? So COVID has taught us many things. It has forced us to think many things, that if we are to sustain in and survive in this economy or survive in the system, everyone have to be very, very resilient towards means about oneself. They should not wait for the policymakers, government to make something, then we will do something. I used to speak to all students, all engineering management students in my webinars. If you are not upskilling, if you are not understanding the situation, you will be one day behave like a dinosaurs and you will be extinct. No one is going to support you, no one is going to help you, because the person who is going to help you should also understand for what purpose he is there to support you, for what reason he is there to support you. Does he has this acumen to support you? Does he has the experience to support you? So before thinking about all these things, I think the basic infrastructure have to be strengthened, basic infrastructure have to be developed. Then only I think this NEP 2020, which will be coming for implementation in the next 15-20 years, will be successful. So with this is my basic concerns. My PPT might have shown something, but I don't want to speak what is the basics and significance of NEP. But before that, I want to know, I want to understand, I have the concern that whether we are ready for this or not. So with this, I am closing my talk. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone.
What a big enough hour. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Fukan sir, because it's a another way, I can say it's an approach to this NEP, because it is truly said that we have seen in our past years many new policy has been implemented, or as a bill it has been passed, but in terms of execution, the main hurdles with the ground, which I think Gupta sir as well as Fukan sir has also emphasized regarding the training of teachers, or are we really ready to face or execute this new NEP in our ground level execution? So we would really like to thank Dr. Fukan as well as Dr. Supratik sir, that who have come up with their own perspective based on their experience and their way of looking at NEP, through which I guess we are getting few major points which has to be taken under consideration to drop down, so that we can also forward the same message to the concerned authority as a memorandum, so that they can also have a thought upon it. So here I would like to invite our Mr. Sandeep. Sandeep ji would like to I would like to request you to come out with your presentation so that we can have more lights upon it. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Surjit ji. Thank you, JESDC team. Thank you, Seva Foundation, for arranging this platform and to deliberate on the issues which are of the concerns of the nation. So let me tell you this. I was involved with this national education policy when the first draft came. It was 484 pages, and we went through all the pages and submitted a lot of suggestions to the government. And after that, if you see the new policy, which was announced on 29th July 2020, it is 66 pages. So most of the suggestions, I feel that they were well taken, and it is said that more than 2 lakh people, 2 lakh academicians, school teachers, bureaucrats, academicians, experts, scientists, they were all consulted before formulating this draft. But still, I feel that, like my topic is challenges, I feel there are 2 parts we can see it. First is the drafting of the policy. We have a lot of acts, bills, and second part is its implementation. So let's start. I will just start my presentation. Is it visible? Yeah, is it visible, sir?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So quickly, first, we can't see the challenges until we know what it is in it. So the earlier 2 speakers have already put some light. So I will just take a few minutes on what it is, what does it contain. It is not the first policy. There were 2 more policies which were drafted earlier. After 34 years, we can say this is the policy, because the second policy was in 1986. But it was again amended after 6 years by the then president, this Prime Minister of India, Narasimha Rao's government. Now but we consider it 34 years from 1986. So there were significant improvements in 1992 as well. Anyways, this policy has 4 parts: school education, higher education, the additional key focus areas like adult education, digital education, online education, use of technology in education and languages, arts, culture, and last part which they call transforming education, making it happen, which is actually focusing on the implementation. So how would they actually making it using a CAB and the centralized advising board of education and other things. So if you see just a brief on this, I fully agree with the Dr. Supratik Gupta ji, because I received a lot of calls when this policy was in house that what about this 4 years? People consider this 4 years as a graduate thing, but still these 4 years are still the same. It is all schooling. It is just schooling. So earlier it was 10 plus 2. If you just ignore 3, 10 plus 2 was in the old system, but they just forgot to mention 3 years. So in both the cases, in both the old and new system, it is only 15 years of primary and secondary education. Only thing is representation of the policy. So 3 years, which is a preparatory, junior KG and senior KG, or some people call it nursery, junior KG, senior KG, 10 years and 2 years. The new system again have a again these 3 years, preparatory, junior, senior, first and second standard, which covers 5 years of education. Third, fourth, fifth, 3 years. Sixth, seventh, eighth, 3 years, and 9 to 12th is the final years of schooling education. And like I was also present in the meeting, which was just on the next day when this policy was announced, chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, where he said the new policy is now changing on from what to think to how to think. We do not want our students what to think. We don't have to teach them. We don't have to tell this is the say. We just have to show them the way how to move. We show them the way how to think. This is the main objective of this policy. In the new system, if you see, the 5 years was based on games, lot of activities. It should be interactive, outdoor learning. This is one main focus up to standard second, which is up to the we can say up to 7-8 years of the age. Next 3 years was the listening, reading, and writing skills. Some languages to be introduced: math, science, general knowledge, arts. Next 3 years, which is the we call say it is a very crucial step, very inventive step, where they have started. The first thing is internship at the age of 6th standard. We might have heard internship at the CA level, medical college, engineering college, that I am going for internship. So for my higher education and professional courses, internship we have been hearing so far, but internship was first introduced as 6th standard. Students can go to some corporate industry, earn the knowledge, and these all will be counted. Second inventive step is the coding, which earlier speaker said. Coding is very important at the age of 6th standard, and you might have seen lot of ads now. Whitehead Junior, and which is actually is a Byju's Byju's a parent company. So coding is again a lot of companies have come to teach our children coding, because they saw India is very high in IT services industry, social sciences, maths, and HOTS, higher order thinking skills. 4 year, which is again very crucial, 9 to 12. The main thing is moving from rote learning to activity based learning. There's something to the conceptual level. So concepts must be clear. It should be more interactive rather than teacher, like a broadcasting thing, teacher just saying and the students listening. So it's a learning outcome based, activity based learning. Main thing here is the subject option. As of now, we have been hearing arts, commerce, science. These are three disciplines. But I can't choose still. My son cannot choose science with photography, because the schools do not provide science with music, arts with photography. So this was actually a very good step by this policy. And ABC. The another important point is academic bank of credit. I can, like my savings bank account, I can have my credit account. I can keep earning credits, and I can move to the next level. And this is the common entrance test. So my academic bank of credit plus a common entrance test. These two would qualify me for my admission to the tertiary education, which is graduation. So in the graduation program, they have done a 4 year. There is a various levels. So they are saying 4 year is the recommended multidisciplinary bachelor's degree. But still, if I complete 1 year of study, I leave it, I will be given a certificate. So I do not need to repeat my graduation again. If I leave it after 2 years, I will be getting a diploma, and I can again join in 3rd year. So Dr. Fukanji mentioned a example of 3 idiots. So like there was a character Farhan. He got a call on 3rd year of year by the famous photographer Ivan Andre. He said that if I go there, I have to repeat it again, and my father would not allow it. Now his father would allow him, because this policy allows the 3 year exit and then entry again. So MPhil is discontinued, as we know. But the main thing is 4 year, like 16 years of education. If you go to US, if I want to study US, I want to this for this higher study and this thing. US and other countries need 16 years of continuous education. The problem with our bachelor's degree is it is a 15 years of education. So again, our Indian students used to do a 1 year post PG diploma or other things to make it 16 years. So bachelor's degree, this already provides this option for completing 16 years, and they are qualified for the higher learning in foreign countries. Now, after completing this, what it was in, I will come to the challenges, and my most challenges is the implementation part, which earlier speaker also mentioned. I'm a man of implementation. I have seen a lot of acts bills on the paper, lot of schemes on paper, but what is the ground challenge? We have not seen much of the many of the effect implementation. And if implementation is there, not effective, purposeful implementation. Suppose I am given 5 lakh of rupees. I can say I can implement it. Okay, I can put up a price, three prices, 3 lakh rupees, 1.5 lakh rupees, and one point and this point 0.5 and 50,000 rupees. So I can make it one thing, or I can give it to 10 people with the 50,000 rupees. So it is about how I implement and implement a scheme or policy. So the main thing is based on it should focus on the objective than philosophies. Dr. Gupta ji very rightly said some of the I don't know. I also, sir, I don't understand many of the jargons and the words used in the policy. They are actually understood by the government. Some of them are unrealistic, and I will say platitudes, mere platitudes. So still, I can just say this is a right step. Let me discuss on the most of the things which is actually still left, and I can say we need one more amendment in the policy in the time to come. This policy was announced on 19th July. More than 2 months have passed. We are still just discussing the about this policy through various webinars like this one, and other people are also doing. We will continue to do this for next 4 or 5 months. The state governments have started forming committees. Chairman is still to be searched on, and universities are there's a effort to be made at every level, bureaucratic level, central level, state government level, state examination board level, NTA level, because everyone is weaved into this policy at some level. So there is a responsibility of every person here. So major implementation challenges, because one step is dependent on the previous step. Until I put these 2 steps, I cannot move the third step. So the third stage processes are ready. I can't implement them until the previous 2 are ready. So this is the problem of implementation. Second is, how will this India is, I think this more than 700 universities, and then there are thousands of colleges. How we can make it happen at each and every level? So can there be any nodal college and this hub and spoke model? So one nodal college can can take care of the colleges in the vicinity, and the college can take the in its own vicinity. So hub and spoke model, where some colleges can be made the nodal colleges to implement the plans and policies. And more of the thing, this policy just provides an advisory. It is just a guiding rules, just a guidance. Major impetus, major onus is on the state governments. So how fast state governments act? Because this is just a thing. I can say, don't go out in the corona. So this is a guideline from the central government. But how to implement it? We have to close shops at 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock. These rules, these resolutions have to be made by central local bodies. This is the challenge, because there are a lot of communication, a lot of bodies. I'm saying there's a NRF. You can say this National Research Foundation is there. Government has formed. Can we? But where is the time for the for teachers, for the faculty to do research? Most of them, they are involved in administrative work. Just communicate. Just attend this. They attend this meeting. Just this enter the name of the students. Just call to the parents about the fee. So where is the time? Can we have Monday to Thursday or Friday? That's the teaching, and one day dedicatedly in all the universities as for research. Otherwise, research thing we can't ever achieve, which US, China, and South Korea has achieved. So this is the again challenging area, which actually is no clear guideline. How we will implement the culture of research? Can we use our students in survey or data entry, or there's a feedback mechanism? So this is the challenging area for this thing. Another challenging area, if you see the various reports, ASAR report and other things, learning crisis. Children at the grade 2 or 3 are not able to read. Children at the age of at the standard of 4th and 5th, they are not able to do this arithmetic operations. So how how we can actually, why there's a rote learning system, we can blame many of the things, but policy does not emphasize what was the major reasons for this kind of existence for so many decades. And again, what kind of activity? They are saying activities, activity-based learning at foundation level. What kind of activities? We can say some school say we do a lot of things, we do activities. Some say we do a lot of things. Why there is a lot of this database of activities which can be at the pre-primary level, preparatory level, like Dr. Gupta ji said. This is very crucial stage. Harvard Gartner's theory says at the age of 12 we can learn multiple languages. Our mind is much more active than the mind of an adult. So how this foundation is very important. For example, in US thing, if I say that tell the spelling of monkey, so some students say MNKY, some say MNKI. That's both are okay. Teacher does not stop you. You are wrong. So at that level, at that age, they do not learn to understand the spelling. They must understand the concept, the object. So spelling or pronunciation is not important at that age. But from first of the thing, how to write A, how to write B, we focus. This is the wrong way. How? What are the ways? Policy does not tell the various ways, various databases of various good practices and best practices. So this flexibility, I think, this is actually lacking. Curriculum development. Fukanji said that curriculum development. Very well said. Very well said. Curriculum development, when and how? It is very old curriculum in many of the universities. Universities are saying, no, we are changing every year. But industry is changing every month. Industry is changing, the technology is changing every day. So we have to pace. We have to keep pace at least for a semester. Can we have how much syllabus we have changed, at what design, what structure at every semester? The pedagogy. The second thing is, if the syllabus is there, good syllabus is there, how to deliver it. Getting a good content and getting the good delivery are two different things. Getting good content with poor delivery was not we will not get any result. Good delivery, good content would fetch the results. Activity-based learning is at a sentence. Can we have a 50+ activities? Even if we say that option of subject choosing at ground level, CBCS implemented in Gujarat 2011 and many other states after that. 7-8 years we are still struggling with CBCS, choice-based credit system. Our students do not have a choice more than this out of 2, select 1. So it is a 50% chance. Though at least we should provide 1:5. Out of 5 subjects, I should be able to choose 1. So 20% ratio I should get. Today I am 1:2. So you can find this fact. So when we say multiple options, entry, exit, what are the challenges? What are the courses? What kind of courses? The syllabus, delivery, all these things are there. And other thing, Dr. Fukan said, do we have qualified, passionate, dedicated manpower? Salary, promotion is all beyond this thing, because I have some connection or this thing, not merit based in many of the things. So how can we make those challenges? Policy is still actually not able to answer satisfactorily. Sometimes sentence framing and interpretation in the most modern syllabuses by NCERT and is so poor that even teachers cannot interpret. There can be multiple solutions of a single cell, and there is a multiple choice question. So even 2 solutions are okay. So how to interpret the right questions and how to write those questions? That is again a challenge. Funding. Policy says spending 6% of GDP from the earlier 4%. But is an announcement by the government? Is there earmark of the fund? Policy says 20,000 crore you must have. Jisme se fit the 13,000 crore is for the IITs, IIMs. It is exclusive of those 20,000 crore. Research only 0.70%, even 0.6699% of the research grant, while it is a 2 to 4%. China, US, Israel. So are we ready? Do we write only research on paper, or are we actually ready for a research culture, research ecosystem? And also the well-funded public education. Can we see only the good schools can be afforded by the poorest of the people? So it should not depend on the parental income. So this kind of funding, if you want to change the education system, funding must pump in. Again, the learning crisis. One is the rote learning. There is a contradiction in the policy. Rote learning and memorization. Memorization is a very good thing. I do not support rote learning. Rote learning is a mechanical way where we want to understand our tell something to my memory which my memory does not understand. Memorization tables. I have to memorize Sanskrit words. The Sanskrit grammar I have to memorize. There is no other way. So memorization is a good thing. Policy I think is should focus on memorization, which would come to me lifelong. I do not want the digital education does not mean if I go for I want to purchase 2 kg of apples and it is 50 rupees kg. I have to calculate on my mobile phone how much I have to pay for 2 kg of the apples. So memorization is important. Rote learning is not. But policy does not mention why it has been in our system. Exam boards, because teacher have to teach in a way. Some good teachers are there, but they cannot practice their best practices because exam boards, they every year by year they put the same kind of syllabus, same kind of questions. We say okay, just you do this thing and you will pass. So these types of state exam boards need to change. The examination question pattern need to change. This have to is a very focused area which needs some more deliberations. Can we have a national and state goals like every child reading by grade 2? We can say there is no polio, the zero polio country. Can we say every child reading by grade 2, every child doing simple calculations by grade 5? So these can be like of Swachhta Abhiyan mission, and this can be the mission. And the thing PISA, this program of international students assessments. Assessments are very poor. We are very poor in assessment and evaluation. We don't know how to assess basically. So if there are some international institutions who do the learning assessments, are our government ready? Are our policy ready to accept those challenges? Are we ready to accept our ranking before the world? And we are ready to accept the suggestions. I fully accept the concept of Dr. Gupta ji, who said this conception to birth. We call it, sir. We have a children university in Gujarat, which says Tapovan Garbh Sanskar. It cares from the child since the child is in the womb till the child turns 18 years. So it's a holistic full development till the child is in the womb to 18 years. We call it Tapovan Garbh Sanskar, and it is completely lacking in the policy. Policy does not. The initial 6 years I learned from Dr. Gupta ji. He's also agreeing. This policy does not mention about this, which is very important thing. Capacity crisis, administrative capacity, academic capacity. Now our teachers are included in a lot of administrative work, election thing, the other things. So are we able to give them their time? Well trained individuals and well trained institutions. Infrastructure was a very important point which Dr. Fukan mentioned. So new modes of assessments missing. No indigenous psychometric test. Let me tell you, you can't tell me the single psychometric test on the entire government of India website which is available free. Most of the sites psychometric tests which are available free are from the foreign countries or foreign agencies, and if they are available indigenous companies, they are not free. Government has completely failed to provide a single psychometric test available. Career counseling portals, though the governments have launched, there is no quality. Effectiveness of the SCRT and the State Council of Education, Research and Training and Diets. They just copy NCRT, the new kinds of freshness, the new kind of freshness. It is still lacking. These kind of bodies must be actually used for the contextual thinking. Suppose somebody is in the Rajasthan, so desert ecology should be the course for that region for that students, so they can get local employment. Am I running out of time, or can I get 5 minutes more? So technology in education, we can say we just talk about technology in education thanks to COVID, because something is good. We can see less pollution, we can see hills on the mountains. Third thing is we all learned how to use technology in education. So this is something positive from the negatives, which is more tangible, and which you can see most of the teachers get hands-on practice on computers. They made a lot of MCQs, other textbook questions in a digital way. But we need more edtech labs, like incubators, like innovation labs. We need more edtech labs. where we can experiment with the pedagogy, we can experiment with the question system, we can experiment with different ages, different communities. These kind of experiments are actually necessary, which are lacking in the, which is a challenge actually for this, for the policy to be effective. Let's see. Just got it quickly. Compulsory education. Why do you mean by compulsory as education? It is by the RT Act or by the law in general, where the law puts that it is the parent's responsibility and RT is access the government's responsibility. So this is a contradiction. It is not clear what do the policy means compulsory education, and what about these acts? uh, Parents still have a choice. They do not send their children to colleges or schools. It is still a choice in India. It is not a mandatory thing. AI is a national priority. We have seen coding, but why not AI, IoT, ML, machine language, natural language processing, data analytics, data science? Future job, future time is of these technologies only. So, because this is the society's competitiveness and level of prosperity and economic development would come from these things. Human resources are available, but we need to mold our education system in a way which can integrate all these things, the future technologies. It is mentioned in the policy as a sector, but not as a strategic priority area which needs to be done. So it's a challenge still. So it is not mentioned in the policy about the private sector for profit education players who are very good international level players. Their suggestions is not actually considered in the policy, and we can learn from the international exposure. The policy does not say we should learn from this country and this thing. So lot of exchange of best practices, exchange of good practices from other countries actually missing. And some of the miscellaneous points I will just main thing here is innovation and entrepreneurship. uh, the compulsory course at various levels, compulsory indigenous technologies, the startups should be a part of the curriculum framework. Some universities have started, but not in a organized, synchronized manner. And what about these agencies, UGC, NAC, AICTE, and now no new names are coming. It is so confusing for the fraternity. NEC, PSB, Professional Standard Services Board, ASHE. What would come to this accreditation agency, AICTE? So NEC, National Education Policy, Central Advisory Board of Education. So they have replaced, one agency is replacing another. What is the role of the existing one? How they will be integrated? Should we send my proposal there, or should the new one? We are not clear. And again, the another twist to the story is NCF, National Curriculum Framework, which is due in 2021. Would it be synchronized with NEP? It focuses on minimum requirement of the languages, curriculum framework, how the curriculum must be designed. It is due in 2021. Whether these were mapping with the NEP, they must be, but we are not sure. So this is from my side, and I think I will just taken my time, most likely 5 minutes more. But I thought these points are important.
Time will be the factor, Sandeepji. I think you should conclude because we should respect the time.
So I conclude my presentation here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and extremely sorry to interrupt you, Sandeepji, because the information which you have shared, based on the whole presentation, one thing I have realized, I think House will also agree that you have emphasized more about the NEP clarity. There more clarity about the policy in terms of execution. And obviously the all speaker actually it's good, our three speaker have emphasized in a three direction. Gupta sir is in early education, obviously including various factor and a parts in the which is like sports, music, and swasth, the health, because and pre-birth education is also I think important factor through which I think if I'm not wrong in our Gurukul system it was there. I don't know under this NEP whether government is going to emphasizing upon it or not. The second topic was from Dr. Fukan sir, who has practically identified the industry integrated education system, or are we really ready to adopt that as per the market requirement? Because more we publish the unemployment youth will be a huge challenge for the nation as well as for the education itself. Again, it will be a challenge. So as per the demand, if we don't produce or give quality education, we can't produce quality, more employable students. Or you can say as per the market requirement, it will be a big time failure for the education which was there before. Now, I think nationwide we are expecting many things from NEP, so clarity is essential. And Sandeepji also have come out with the, I think, ground reality or the challenge which mostly university or colleges are facing, because it's, yeah, obviously more than 700 universities, thousands of colleges, and again dividation, segregation in between the poor and the highly paid infrastructure colleges or schools are there. So with this note, I think what I would like to request in house, because as we have requested that we will try to submit a memorandum. I would like to request
Can I
all the
ask
three
you a
members.
question?
Yeah, please, sir.
Don't mind if I ask a few questions. I have a small question to Fukanji, who had talked about coding. What population of education of our children do you think will use coding in their life? What percentage of our children do you think will really use coding in their life? Will it even cross 5%?
I think he's not in the meeting, sir.
Oh.
I think we have
want
lost
to
the
say that
connectivity. Yeah.
I'm sorry for that. I have a personal view that that is a wrong statement by the government of India. Coding is absolutely the least important thing in the world. The reason is it will be used by only 5% of the population. The shopkeepers, the taxi drivers, are their children not children? Are the agriculturists not children? Will they do coding? I don't think coding is a thing to be hyped about. It is just one of the subjects. Only 5% of the population will use a subject, and we have to hype on it. And the fate of our children who are doing sports will be much more than that, and they have no mention to it. People who are doing agriculture, do they require the math and science that we are teaching today? Is this the subject that we want our children to learn every day? Who is running shop or running a this thing? I would rather teach them what is taught today in MBA college. I would start that at class 5 rather than teach this maths and science. This maths and science, I was the best in maths, but I would sorry to say, this is completely useless maths. No benefits.
Okay.
It is only benefit to only 5% of the population. That is going to be the engineers, not even doctors. Not even doctors. We don't require this. We would require a science rather than a football. I would rather have a science of music. I'll have a science of agriculture taught from childhood. Why? Why do we require electromagnetism for a person doing agriculture? Why should I? Why should I learn coding? I am not going to be a coding. I want to be a shopkeeper. Why should I learn coding? And why should I think of myself to be inferior than a person who is learning coding? I am going to feed you by my agriculture, and you think by learning coding you are more superior than me. Superiority complex of the science stream must be destroyed at every cost, because we emphasize that science stream is useful. We get the best students to IIT, and for the last 50 years our engineers are not becoming engineers, and we cannot become Atmanirbhar by the MBS. We need Atmanirbhar by engineers and farmers. 95% of our BTechs are the best students. They don't become engineers. From the first day, they are frustrated. I teach in the class. They ask me, sir, what will I do with your course? I am not going to use it in my life. What do I answer? Civil engineering, 120 students, all of them will become civil engineers. What is the use? I requested the IIT, okay, make them 90% general course. May let 10% come to my lab. Why should I waste my energy teaching to 120 students where even 10 of them will not be using my knowledge? Why are we wasting? Teach them how to sell the soaps. Nah? Ultimately, they will be selling that only, right? So why can't they just do that? Why can't I teach them how to do economics? How can't I teach them how to speak? Rather than teach them engineering. What will they do with the engineering, which I teach them every day? So I had written this thing to the government of India. Please declare every branch should have a core subject. Any department which cannot provide employment in the core subject, they should be reduced. And that way IIT will be reduced to 10% because 90% of our BTechs don't become engineers. They don't deserve. 90% for last 50 years did not become engineers. When I 25 years back, when I had 25 years this thing at IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, none of the students wanted to go back to their department to meet their professors because they don't remember anything of their subject. I went back to my professors to talk about something of civil engineering because I knew I have maintained my route in civil engineering. Anything you learn take 15 years. Just imagine up to BTech you waste your time and then you learn MBA and then become. So is IIT only a place of incubation where we give them some intellectual shocks so their intellectual capabilities are maintained and so that they can even make a taxi company, Ola, and run it better? Do we make civil engineers to run the Ola company? Yes, if 50% of them make, I understand. 90% of them don't become engineers. Will I call a toothpaste factory if they start producing clothes? Let's call it a general engineering college. Why we call it an engineering college at all? Yes, MTechs and PhDs are better. They retain to their subject. But BTechs, our country has no intention to keep our best students even in Atmanirbhar engineering requirements. We desperately require engineers to get the best design of the engines. No, they are going into banking. I thought all my computer science, what they're doing, they are in Singapore bank, this bank, that bank, making all their wrong things. 5-year lock-in mutual fund. After lock-in, we don't know what will happen. They're surely the best brains of MBS that creates such beautiful designs. I'm really, but I'm still an optimistic. I want the world to change. That is why I am still fighting. I'm fighting subject-wise. I can't fight everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, it was important, and it's a I think current scenario is like that only, and we are keeping hope with this new policy. Hopefully, we'll get something with the more clarity, as Sandeep ji has said. Over to you, Rahul ji.
So on behalf of Seva Foundation, I would like to thank you all the panelists and speakers who come up with the new ideas and share the new education policies. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to for the other sessions as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sandeep ji.
Thank you.
The URL of the recording.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
offense.
Yes, Sandeep ji, please share with Rahul ji. Accordingly, Rahul ji will proceed with this uploading in our channel, as well as we will share the link to personally also.
Yeah.